Afternoon, everyone. My name's Helen Bruce, and I'm a director of the local accountancy practice, Dyke, Yaxley. We've got offices in Shrewsbury and Telford, and we're a leading independent firm of accountants working with individuals and businesses in many sectors. We provide services covering, among other things, accountancy, audit, taxation, business development, payroll and bookkeeping, and our aim is to help our clients realise their personal and business goals. Now, probably a lot of that doesn't mean anything to you at the moment, so I'll try and give you a bit more of an idea of what accountancy is about, and then some of those words might mean a little bit more. The world of accountancy is very broad. It ranges from basic bookkeeping, which is maintaining the financial records of the business, all the way up to many people, when they're fully qualified, can end up being chief executives of multinational companies, and then there's all sorts of layers in between. It's a career that can be done almost anywhere. There are local firms, there are national firms, there are multinational firms, so it could be an international global career as well. It also covers many sectors. You can work in the public sector for local government, the NHS, HMRC, all sorts of things. There's private sector accountants, and we work for individual businesses and individuals. Then there are accountants in industry who run their finance departments and all their financial systems. Charities also require accountants. Schools and educational establishments have accountants, or sometimes known as bursars. So it crops up in almost every type of business you can think. I mean, for example, we act for manufacturing companies, car dealerships, farmers, pubs and hotels, builders, hairdressers, solicitors, charities, and also for individuals when you look at taxation and so forth. Right, what sort of skills do you need if you're looking at accountancy? Obviously, it has a lot to do with numbers, so you need to be comfortable with numbers, though modern technology means now we don't have to actually sit there and add long lists of numbers up. So all the mundane processing now, luckily, is done by software. You need to be good with your organisational skills. You need to be good at managing your time, your workloads, and planning things out. Communication. You need good written and spoken communication. From time to time in our work, we have to be very technical and very precise. And other times the skill is more to turn that technical information into everyday language so that the non-financial people can understand it. There's a need for people skills. You would work with and for a wide range of people. IT skills, well, as in so much this day and age, we run with a lot of IT. Almost all the basic information is processed with IT. So the skill is really using that software smartly and helping it to take the tedium out of some of the work and to give us some extra tools to help us in our work. Decision making and problem solving, if you like solving problems, interpreting data, research, thinking laterally. Sometimes you'll have to, you can do things known as forensic accounting, so you could be trying to find out why things look the way they do, and that can be quite exciting to do. You often have to work in teams, so obviously team working is a good skill. And then sort of later on, as you qualify, things like commercial awareness, a professionalism, where you have a strong ethical profession. If you join one of the professional bodies, then that's a very strong part of it. And hopefully it's a profession where, with a bit of luck, you can balance your work, study and life ultimately. There's several routes into accountancy and several qualifications. I myself am a chartered accountant, a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. And that's the sort of full professional qualification. At that level, you could also be a chartered certified accountant, which is ACCA, or a cost and management accountant, which is CIMA, and there's also a public finance accountant's qualification, which is known as SIPFA. Below that, you can qualify as an accounting technician doing AAT, and many people start at that level, and then if they enjoy it and find they still want to do exams, they can progress from that onto one of the full professional qualifications. However, AAT does still give you a very good basic qualification in its own right as well. It's certainly worth looking at the websites for the different bodies. They all have dedicated sections on careers and qualifications. And if you have any trouble finding information, then ask your school, and they can direct questions to me. I can point you in the right direction. The other thing to think about with routes is whether you look at apprenticeships or a straight training contract. Obviously, the benefit of an apprenticeship, you'll have heard a lot more detail about them from the colleges earlier, but it's paid, you're gaining work experience right from the start. Sometimes it can be a quicker route to the full qualification. Some firms will still take people on non-apprenticeship training positions, which are mainly at the graduate level, and most school leaver posts will be apprentices. We did an exercise some years ago comparing routes, and there's actually very little difference in the overall time it takes, say from sixth form going to do an accounting technician qualification and then on to ACA. You'd probably qualify in 5 to 6 years. Whereas if you were a graduate, then if you include your 3 or 4 years at university, and then you still have to do 3 years practical training, that still takes you to 6 years. So it's definitely these days, it's not just a graduate profession. There's plenty of scope to enter either straight from A-levels or as a graduate, and even the large national firms who used to very much focus only on graduate entry, they now do quite a few apprenticeships as well. We ourselves offer apprenticeships both at AAT level and at graduate level. So it enables you to pick the route that suits your situation. University is right for some people, and it can be a great thing. There's things you can gain from university, but it's not right for everyone. So whichever way you wish to approach it, it's not a barrier. So what are the entry requirements and qualifications? Well, to get into AAT or the base level at ACA, you need, first off, obviously, English and maths at GCSE. And I think in the new grades, that's a 9 to 4. Obviously, people expect you to have good qualifications there. Other subjects aren't vital as to what subject category they are. If you did a level 4 apprenticeship, and that would take you either to an AAT qualification, an accounting technician, or a certificate level of the chartered accountants, which is a good mid-level qualification. And at that stage, you could stay at that level and still have a good career if you didn't relish any further study. Or alternatively, you could do a level 7 apprenticeship, or come in at graduate level because it's graduate level apprenticeship, or you come in at graduate level not on an apprenticeship. At that level, you need 2 A levels minimum. Technically, they say from A star down to E, but in reality, you probably need sort of A down to C, and that would take you through to the full chartered accountant qualification. For graduate entry, the large national firms would expect at least a 2-2 qualification. Others may look at the large firms would want a 2-1, and others would probably accept a 2-2. In order to qualify, you basically get a training contract from a firm and you are working for them and studying part-time. Now, the good companies will give you time to study and pay all the costs. If you're studying for chartered accountancy, the ICAEW, then the training contract requires employers to pay for all your training and give you the time to do the studying. Some of the other qualifications, there isn't that proviso. Some employers will pay for some, others can vary. On the other hand, it does mean that you can occasionally do some of it independently and perhaps start your studies before you get a full-time job. But ultimately, you're gaining practical experience and studying at the same time. So it's quite tough. But then at the end of the day, you come out with a very valuable professional qualification that can take you almost anywhere. I often get asked, what are the best subjects to study? Well, at GCSE, it's really maths and English, get good grades, and any other subjects, and just focus on decent grades. At A-level, there's no specific subjects required, just good grades that show that you can apply your mind and learn. Excuse me. Subjects you might find interesting and have some connection with: accountancy, business studies, economics. But really, you can come from any academic type of subject. In our firm, we've had people who've come from backgrounds of accountancy, economics, geography, chemistry, classics, and many more. With degrees, a lot of our intake do sandwich courses, which mean you have a year out of your third year, so you can get some on-the-job training, which gives you a great opportunity to test the water. We've had quite a few candidates who've come to us for a year, and then we've offered them a permanent position once they've graduated. Another common topic would be people ask about salary expectations. It's very difficult to say. A lot of the figures quoted are national figures, which are skewed by the high salaries in London and Manchester and Birmingham. So they may quote starting salaries from 25 to 30k, whereas locally it's probably more likely 16 to 18k. But the main thing about salaries is once you're qualified, then you can expect anything, there's no upper limit, shall we say. Just to make things a little more personal, my route into the career, I originally had no idea what career I really wanted to do. I thought of teaching because my family were in teaching. I thought of farming because I worked on the college farm. I looked at banking. And at the time, a long time ago, there were probably about 500 applicants for every job, and I ended up falling into accountancy by accident, but ended up loving it, and I've had a great career from it. But my background was I got 8 O-levels, the predecessors of GCSEs. I did an international baccalaureate instead of A-levels, so I did a range of subjects: economics, physics, English, French, and geography. I then did an economics degree and got a 2-2. I'd no experience of accountancy at all. For example, my holiday jobs had been farm work, tractor driving, lambing and calving, bit of market gardening, and loading orders at the local cash and carry. But I think what that showed was I was willing to work, and you still gain experience from those sort of things. So don't, even if you can't always get specific work experience, get some that you can adapt it to anything, and it holds you in good stead.